Hi, I'm your host, Paige Burnell, and I'm with Justin Borsis and Brittany Gelman, and we're reporting to you live from the UCLA campus. Justin?
Well, UCLA finished 10-3 last season, beating Kansas State in the Alamo Bowl. Let's see if they could repeat that performance and maybe even go farther this year.
Justin, USC was picked to win their division over UCLA. What are your comments on that?
Well, I know USC is coming out for a vengeance. They lost the last 3 years. They got a Heisman candidate quarterback, and they may be looking to overtake us this year. This could be interesting.
And Brittany, your reaction on the cornerback?
Well, as for the quarterback situation, Brett Hundley has just recently gone to the NFL draft and got picked by the Packers. He will now train under Aaron Rodgers the same way Aaron Rodgers trained under Brett Favre. As for UCLA's new quarterback, Josh Rosen, he's a 5-star recruit. Can he live up to that expectation?
Well, we don't know about that, but we do know that senior Paul Perkins may be taking a larger role, and UCLA may be running the ball more with him as the running back. Also, seniors Fabian Morrow and Ishmael Adams may be taking a larger role as well. We've been here live at UCLA campus. We'll be back to you with more updates shortly.
Hello everybody, this is UCLA Sports Talk Radio. We are on the UCLA campus today. Today we're going to discuss the UCLA football team, take a recap of last season and a prediction for the next team. The UCLA basketball team, again a recap of last season and predictions for this season. Last year, UCLA's football team ended with number 14 in the AP poll. They did pretty well. They went to the Alamo Bowl, beat Kansas State 45-30. This year is a little skeptical. They have a young quarterback, lost Brett Hundley to the Green Bay Packers, who was drafted. They have a lot of young talent, but many people are skeptical about their experience. What do you guys have to say about it?
Yeah, definitely. They've got an inexperienced quarterback, so they're going to have to rely on their run game and also their defense. They have Paul Perkins coming back, so he'll be a huge influence on the team. And also defensive corners Fabian Morrow and Ishmael Adams, which will be a key this season.
Definitely.
Like you said, they have an inexperienced quarterback, so I believe the defense is going to have to step up hugely. Miles Jack's going to have to get his Ray Lewis impression on the best way he can, because this defense needs to step up, and they need to have a top-notch, top-of-the-nation defense, because the Pac-12 has plenty of offenses, and to get to 10 wins or 11 wins and possibly make the playoffs, they need to help out their young quarterback.
Oh, definitely. With the defensive speed of Fabian Morrow and Ishmael Adams, their defense surely, I believe, will be good. Now onto their schedule a little. They start off with a fairly easy preseason with Virginia at home. Then they have BYU in the third week, but they start off with a rough and difficult Pac-12 game with at Arizona. Then their, without a doubt, biggest game and hardest game is the last game of the season at USC, which for both games will be a huge decider on whether they get to the playoffs, whether they get to the bowl game. Who knows? What do you guys have to say about their schedule in the USC game?
As you said, it's a big game because Los Angeles has dominated the recruiting this year. Both USC and UCLA have some top recruits coming in, so it'll be fun to watch.
Oh, for sure.
Like you said, the talent pool in the Pac-12 is huge, and to just get anywhere, bowl game or playoffs, you guys need to step up and win as many non-conference games as possible. And for the conference games, just play, like I said, defense and help the young quarterback out.
Oh, definitely. Those conference games are going to be a decider with a very, very difficult Pac-12 schedule this year. Now on to basketball. The UCLA basketball team had a mediocre season with a 22-14 record and reaching March Madness, but many people are very skeptical that if they really deserve to be there. In my opinion, they did not. Although when they got there, they won 2 games to reach the Sweet 16, and then they lost to Gonzaga in that game. What do you guys have to say about this season and last season?
Well, I think last season might have been a little bit of a fluke. Bryce Alford played out of his mind in the tournament, and I don't think he'll live up to that this year.
Yes.
Like you said, it was a fluke. They lost a lot of marquee players for their team. Looney's gone and Powell's gone to the NBA, of course. And they really didn't get a lot of marquee additions. The only good player they really got from the high school pool is Prince Ali. And even him himself, he's only a 4-star recruit. And to look at the rest of the Pac-12, Arizona's getting top-notch recruits. California pulled 2 top 10 recruits. And even Oregon themselves got a top 30 recruit. So I just see UCLA struggling big time, and I can't see them getting 20 wins this year.
I hate saying it, but I would have to agree. That'll be all here from UCLA Sports Talk Radio on the UCLA campus. I'm Ryan Miller,
I'm Chase Denham.
I'm Monty Hollis.
and thank you for watching.
Hello, I'm Colin Easley. We're here at Play-by-Play Camp in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Today we are going to talk about the UCLA Bruins and their upcoming football and basketball season. Now we're going to talk about football. They got big expectations this year coming off last year's bowl win versus Kansas State in the Valero Alamo Bowl, and they have new quarterback replacing Brett Hundley, Josh Rosen out of San Diego. To talk about this subject more, we have Van on the subject.
Yeah, Josh Rosen is the top quarterback in the nation out of San Diego, California, and he looks to replace Brett Hundley, who was taken in the 4th round by the Green Bay Packers in the NFL offseason.
Well, there's definitely going to be a need for more emphasis on the defense. They have 2 senior corners, which is going to help them. Having a young quarterback, no matter how experienced he is definitely going to be a struggle for first couple games. So look for UCLA's offense to pick up more towards the second half of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And now here is Tyler to talk about it too.
I think that UCLA's freshman quarterback Josh Rosen will definitely have to step up and be a leader because he's like going to be one of the youngest guys on the team, but he's going to have to lead them as the quarterback. And I think if he can, then they'll be successful this season.
Now to talk about the basketball. They came off a great tournament after beating SMU and then beating UAB and getting in the Sweet 16. They have a great team coming in, and here is Van to talk about it more.
Yes, the basketball surprised a lot of people with their upset over SMU and then UAB as well to reach the Sweet 16 of last year's NCAA tournament. Many doubted that they could compete in the NCAA tournament as there were doubts about their easy strength of schedule and lack of good play in the conference tournament.
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how UCLA builds. They've had great history being a great basketball program, and we know that they can get back to being where they've been at. So the question is, how do they build off of this year?
Now Tyler to talk about it.
I think that, as you said, that they were was really controversial if they should have been in the tournament or not. But once they did, they kind of showed what they had, and they beat SMU in a controversial call at the end. And they also beat UAB, but then lost to Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. And in this coming season, they have sophomore point guard Bryce Alford, the coach's son, coming in, and he's going to try to lead the team.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if they could relive John Wooden's legacy. I'm Colin Easley.
I'm Van Noland.
I'm Matthew Zwerb.
I'm Tyler Rawls.
We're live here from Play-by-Play Camp in beautiful LA. Have a good day, everybody.
Hello, I'm Borna Nazari alongside my partners JP Suarez and Olin Nolan. With the UCLA football team finishing 10-3 and the AP coaches top 14, they beat JP Suarez's favorite team, Kansas State Wildcats, 40-35 in the Alamo Bowl. However, they did lose their heart and soul, their Heisman candidate, Brett Hundley, leaving to the Green Bay Packers in the NFL draft. As a result, they get the 5-star recruit, the best quarterback in high school in the nation, Josh Rosen, coming out of San Diego. JP, what are your thoughts on Josh Rosen, and do you think he can carry this team to a national championship bid?
Well, I believe Josh Rosen has proven himself during the high school season. Of course, he's a 5-star recruit. He put up amazing numbers, but you have to remember he's still a freshman. He's not ready to take on that kind of role to lead UCLA of all teams, to lead their football team. But I believe that he can succeed because you see the returning defensive players. You got guys like Miles Jack. You got their 1-2 center backs, cornerback punches in Anthony Morrow and Fabian Morrow, and Anthony, I can't remember his last name, but you hear people say that defense is the best offense. So if they if the defense can put Josh Rosen in a position to make a play, I believe that he can succeed his first year and do even better his next years.
What are your thoughts on Josh Rosen, Owen?
I agree with what he said. I think they're not going to pass the ball a lot. I think they're going to rely a lot on their running back, Paul Perkins, this year. I think if he can produce, I think that will help out a lot, take a lot of the pressure off of Rosen. And I think if he does well, I think the Bruins can have a successful season this year.
Another thing is everybody compares Brett Favre when Aaron Rodgers was behind him, and also now Brett Hundley's behind Aaron Rodgers. I hate this comparison just because of one reason. Aaron Rodgers was a first-round pick. Brett Hundley wasn't. So they have totally different expectations, and I don't assume Brett Hundley, I don't think he can be a starter in this league. He didn't have the best of years last year with UCLA, and he's going to be behind a guy who probably will play good for another 5 or 6 years in Aaron Rodgers, who's only 31 years old, considering as a quarterback that's not that old. But however, guys, let's move on to UCLA basketball team. They finished 22-14 last year, and during the NCAA March Madness selection show, they just squeaked into the last four in the NCAA tournament. Nobody agreed with this decision, thinking that they should have been the first four out. However, they did beat SMU on a 60-59 goaltending three-pointer by Bryce Alford, and then beating University of Alabama Birmingham Dragons to make it to the Sweet 16. JP, your thoughts? Do you think UCLA should have made the NCAA tournament?
I believe they shouldn't have made the tournament. I can understand why they did, because of course they're UCLA. You see they've won many titles, have the most legendary coach of all time, and an NCAA tournament wouldn't be complete with teams like them, Kansas, Kentucky. But I still believe that's unfair. They were only 8 games above 500.
What about you, Owen? Do you think they should have made the NCAA tournament?
I do not think they should have made the NCAA tournament, but at the same time, you have to look at what they did in the NCAA tournament. They made the Sweet 16. Granted, they beat UAB, who pulled off a shocking upset over Iowa State. But still, any team who makes it to the Sweet 16 is a good basketball team. So, in the end, I think they got it right.
The UCLA Bruins basketball team lost a key player in Kevon Looney. True freshman, averaged 12 points, 9 rebounds. He went to the NBA draft, got the last pick in the first round. He went to the Golden State Warriors. Do you think, JP, that Kevon Looney should have left for the draft? Because he was a true freshman. He didn't have the crazy talent like Andrew Wiggins, Karl Towns. Do you think he should have left for the draft? Quick.
No, I believe he should have stayed at UCLA. You compare him to other freshmen like Okafor, Anthony Towns. He certainly doesn't have the credentials that those guys do. I think he should have stayed, developed more, and he probably would have gotten drafted. His draft stock would have gone down, probably would have drafted early second round. But I think he would have become a better player if he developed at UCLA.
Lastly, the two main players returning are Bryce Alford and Tony Parker. They will definitely help the team. We are running out of time, so I'm Borna Nazari, as long as my partners JP Suarez and Owen Nolan. Thank you.
Hi, welcome back here on the Pac-12 Network. We are live at UCLA. I'm Greg Goodfriend.
Jack Quit.
And I'm Jake Berlin.
We will be talking about the Bruins football and basketball programs here today. So let's start with football. They finished 10-3 last year, number 14 in the country. What do you think about that win in the Alamo Bowl over K-State, Jack?
No, it was a great win. It was a good confidence booster. It gave some hope to UCLA fans. Obviously missing their star quarterback, Brett Hundley. He was drafted by the Green Bay Packers, so that's a big loss. But that should the bowl win should carry on to the season.
Yeah, and speaking of Brett Hundley, he got drafted by the Packers. He will look to be Aaron Rodgers' successor now. His replacement, Josh Rosen, was a 5-star player in high school. Jake, what do you have to say about that?
He was really good in high school from California. He is the best quarterback in his class, and he should be good at UCLA.
All right, so big games for UCLA's 2015 schedule. They play against Virginia at home. They beat them last year in Virginia. What do you think about that?
You know, last year it was a tough battle. It came down to the fourth quarter, and it should be a really good game. And Virginia always impresses, so UCLA has to be on their A game.
Right, and then their season finale will be at USC at the Coliseum. That might even have some bowl game implications, so that'll be a big game. What do you think about that, Jake?
It's going to be a huge game. They're rivals, and it should be a very exciting game.
My thoughts as well. So let's move over to basketball now. Last year, UCLA finished 22-14. They barely made it into the tournament, yet they made it in as an 11 seed. They beat SMU in the first round on that crazy Bryce Alford shot. Very controversial.
Yeah, it was controversial, but what matters is that they got the win. They made it all the way to the round of 16 just to lose to Gonzaga, but that shows, their heart, and I think Bryce Alford will be able to lead the Bruins to another tournament appearance.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Alford was the leader of that team last year, and Kevon Looney was also very solid in tournament play. Alford shot 9 of 11 from three-point range in that SMU game. And in the game against UAB, Tony Parker played really well.
Yeah, Tony Parker played great. 28 points, 12 rebounds, and unfortunately, Kevon Looney has to go pro, and UCLA might not be as good, but we'll see next year.
Yeah, UCLA lost two key components to the pros last year. Kevon Looney got picked 30th overall by Golden State, and Norman Powell was picked 45th overall by the Bucks, and his draft rights were traded to the Raptors. So big games for 2015. UCLA is going to be hosting Kentucky on December 3rd. What do you think about that?
Obviously Kentucky, they're known to be the best. Duke and them will be competing for the number 1 seed, and it's going to be a really good challenge. And don't be surprised if UCLA comes out and kind of upsets them. Anything's possible. UCLA, as I said, they have the heart. Anything's possible. So it's going to be a good, exciting game, I think.
And then 9 days later, UCLA heads up to Washington to play at Gonzaga. First time in the program's history that they've ever done that before. Jake?
Yeah, it is. And last year they lost in the tournament against Gonzaga, and we'll see if they can get a win here, but it'll be hard.
And then about a week later, they play December 19th against UNC at the Barclays Center in New Jersey. That'll be a great game.
Yeah, I mean, also UNC, one of those teams. And thank you for watching. This is the Pac-12 Network. See you next time.
Hi, I'm Charlie Downey along with my co-host Ariana Ozerball and Hayden Brown. Let's kick it off with Bruins football. The Bruins ended up last season with a reasonable 10-3 record. Due to the USA coaching polls, they'll be ranked number 14th going into this next season. Ariana, your thoughts?
The UCLA has suffered a loss. Their star quarterback, Brett Hundley, was drafted by the Green Bay Packers, but the UCLA has recruited a new quarterback, Josh Rosen, who was a 5-star recruit, and he was named best quarterback in his class. However, he is a freshman, and it's hard for any freshman to jump into the program with ease and not have any difficulty.
Hayden?
Josh Roseman does have some problems off the field too. Him and his teammates are not cooperating as well as they should be. He is a good asset to their team, but I'm not sure if this is going to work out. What do you think?
I think that it's going to be hard for Josh to get over what he's been dealing with and not being able to cooperate with his teammates, but I think eventually he will learn to come through with his teammates and learn to play fairly and nice and with his teammates. Let's go on to basketball. Hayden?
UCLA has just recruited a 16th best point guard in the country. His name is Daryl Holiday. He went to Campbell High School.
Ariana?
Again, like the football team, the UCLA basketball team lost their star player, Kevon Looney, to the NBA draft. And so he was drafted to the Golden State Warriors, but the UCLA still does have many other great players that are going to have to step up this season in order to compensate for their star player, Kevon Looney. One of their star players, Bryce Alford, the coach's son, he played very well in the NCAA tournament, which was crucial. And then they have Tony Parker, who's their big man, and he also is a very important player. In their win over UAB in the NCAA tournament, he scored a record high number of points and rebounds, and so he's going to have to step up too.
I'm Charlie Downey, and this is Ariana Ozerball and Hayden Brown, and this has been Bruins Talk. Thank you.
Hi, this is ESPN Sportsnet. We're here at UCLA. I'm Tyler Williams, and this is Andrew Diaz and Anthony Morales. We're here to talk about UCLA football. The UCLA football team defense has Miles Jack, and which will be a good player on the linebackers.
There's a reason why my camera's still rolling. There's a reason why I want you to do this, because I know you can shine on this, dude.
Yeah.
Make me proud. Stay right where you are, because I gotta focus on you. Do it again from the top. I'm gonna shine on this. That's the reason I'm throwing you into the fire.
What? Anthony?
It's Nathan.
Sorry.
Hey, rolling in 3, 2.
Hi, this is ESPN Sportsnet, and I'm here at UCLA with Nathan Morales and Andrew Diaz. I'm Tyler Williams. We're here to talk about the UCLA football. The linebackers are Miles Jack, and the NFL and UCLA had an NFL linebacker who left, Eric. I don't remember.
What's your friend then?
Wait, what? I can't remember.
You keep the microphone, let him talk. You keep the microphone, let him talk. Go ahead.
Wait, I can't remember what.
You guys remember what you're gonna say?
I do.
All right. You hold the mic, and you hold the mic and point it towards you. No. You don't touch it. Go ahead.
UCLA is going to be doing good this season when they were ranked 14 out of 25. With returning people such as Miles Jack and a new 5-star recruit at quarterback named Josh Rosen, they're going to dominate the Pac-12 with teams such as Oregon and Stanford losing key players to the roles they do.
When looking at Mora's first 3 recruiting classes, he recruited especially well, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. His efforts have netted integral players such as Miles Jack, Eddie Franderdos, Deion Hollins, Kenny Clark, and Fabian Monroe, among others.
That's it for ESPN Sportsnet. Thank you for listening.
4, 3.
Hi, I'm Harrison Rosenthal of ESPNU, and I'm here with Ben Goldberg and Eli Lesser to talk about UCLA football and basketball. Let's start with football. Ben?
UCLA recaps previous year the record was 10-3. They were 14th ranked in the country. They defeated Kansas State in the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio. They also lost their star quarterback Brett Hundley to the NFL. Eli?
Brett Hundley was a fantastic guy, but they do have a couple of options to go to next season. They have Josh Rosen, the freshman, and also Jerry Neuheisel, the son of famous QB, Rick Neuheisel. And he stepped up last year against Texas. So they have a pretty nice situation.
And now on to basketball. Let's see. Their first game is at home against Virginia, and their last game is against their rivals USC, at USC. So that's going to be a tough one for them. And let's talk about the Final Four journey for them. They beat SMU in the first round, and then they beat University of Alabama Birmingham to get to the Sweet 16. And then they've eventually lost to Gonzaga. It has been a long journey for them. And then, to top it all off, they lost their star small forward, Kayvon Looney, to the NBA.
They also lost their star guard, Norman Powell. They do still have Bryce Alford, son of the coach, also Tony Parker. They had a pretty good recruiting season, and I think they'll be fine and could be an underrated contender in the Pac-12.
And also this season, UCLA does have to face off with Kentucky and North Carolina, two fierce SEC rivals themselves. And it'll be very tough for UCLA to go against these two teams, especially with Kentucky making their Final Four run last season. For the ESPNU, I'm Harrison Rosenthal alongside Ben Goldberg and Eli Lesser.
Greetings here from the UCLA campus along with Lewis Schmidt and Seamus Kreider. We're here at I'm Daniel West, by the way. We're here at the beautiful UCLA campus, and today we're discussing UCLA football coming up in November, late November. About 13 miles from here, we're going to have the big game between USC and UCLA. My question today for you guys is, will that be the de facto South title game for the Pac-12 rather? Do you think that by that time UCLA will still be in the mix?
Yes, I think they're one of the teams to beat it, along with USC, and I think it could be the knockout punch for either one of them.
And you, Seamus?
And I would agree. The schedule is very easy for UCLA going forward. Their only main non-conference games are versus Virginia and BYU, which are not the biggest powerhouses, and they do not play Oregon in the Northern Division. So that is a big help for them going forward.
Yeah, that is true, but two big in-conference games on the road. They have to go to Arizona State, who the pollsters have predicted to finish second in the South Division, and then they go on the road to Oregon State, which they're not the best team, but they are a tough team. So do you think that any of those games might be a potential trap game for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone in the division will be. They just have to keep playing and not, take anything for granted, you know?
On the road at Utah. So do you see any of those games as being perhaps a trap game for UCLA?
Well, I would sort of go back to what Lewis said. Really, any game can be a trap game. We saw in 2012 with Oklahoma State losing to Iowa State, of all people, in the last week of the season, and that caused them not to go to the BCS National Championship game that year. So really, anything can happen, but it is a favorable schedule.
And then once they do get to the Pac-12 title game, probably facing Oregon, would that be a matchup that perhaps we see them getting a New Year's Six Bowl because of that, or do you think that as far as they can go as the South title?
I think they could go that far. I mean, anything can happen. I don't know if they'll win, but, there's good chances.
And you, Lewis?
Going back to, yeah, it has to be it really goes down to the quarterback. Brett Hundley's now in Green Bay, so he really, Josh Rosen is the key to the success. You need a good quarterback. He is a 5-star recruit. We'll see if he pans out in the tougher ranks of college.
Well, time will tell until that game will really matter, or will it just be another rivalry game? From the UCLA campus, alongside Lewis Schmidt and Seamus Kreider, I'm Daniel West. Thanks for watching.
3, 2.
Hi, welcome to ESPNU. I'm Josh Mechanic, along with Aiden Woosbaum, Gabe Schwartz, and Josh Gervich. Here's a recap of UCLA's football and basketball season. For football, they finished 10-3 and and won the Alamo Bowl against Kansas State.
They finished 14th in the country in the coaches poll and the AP poll.
Brett Hundley, a star quarterback, goes to the NFL in the 5th round to the Green Bay Packers.
Josh Rosen is expected to fill in for Brett Hundley. He is the top 5-star recruit, and he's gone to UCLA.
Their top remaining players are running back Paul Perkins, linebacker / running back Miles Jack, their 2 senior cornerbacks Ishmael Adams and Kenny Clark, and
2 big games are at home. The first game, September 5th,
versus Virginia, and on the road, their last game of the season at Gonzaga. That's their first time in the school's history ever playing there. Now on to basketball.
UCLA went 22-14 last year and was criticized for making the tournament.
They lost in the Sweet 16 to UAB, not to to Gonzaga, the number 2 seed. And Kevin Looney, their star player, went 30th to the Golden State Warriors. Now they have 2 remaining players, Tony Parker and the coach's son, Bryce Alford.
Bryce Alford was really key last year in the tournament. Breaking a record for most threes in a single, breaking a team record for most threes in a single game. Tony Parker also in the tournament had a game finishing with 28 points and 12 rebounds.
Their biggest games are the first game of the season, November 13th against Monmouth, and December 3rd at home versus Kentucky, the former number 1 team, and December 12th at Gonzaga for the first time ever.
I messed that up. That's all for today. Thank you. I'm Josh Mechanic along with my co-hosts Aiden Wuthbaum, Gabe Schwartz, and Josh Gerbich. Good night.
3, 2.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rafe Israel. I'm here with Bryce Wetzel and Tanner Clark. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about UCLA basketball. Now, recently, the non-conference schedule has been released. UCLA obviously looking to be a good team after going relatively far in March Madness last year. Any thoughts on the non-conference and last season?
Well, that Kentucky matchup December 3rd is going to be tough. Coach Calipari always recruits well, and Kentucky destroyed UCLA at Rep Arena last year.
For sure. And they also have incoming superstar freshman Skal Labissiere and returning star point guard Tyler Ulis. Any thoughts on Kentucky?
I think they're still going to be one of the better teams in the entire country, and I think they're going to win it all this year.
Not a bold thought. They're the favorites once again. Also playing UNC in Barclays Center, December 19th. Obviously, UNC is one of the favorites to win because they have somehow maintained to return all of their starting lineup. Marcus Page, the star player, Roy Williams has done a fantastic job. I think UNC is going to go far this year. How about you?
Well, a Roy Williams-led team is always great. Marcus Page leading that team, they're going to be good. That'll be a tough game at the Barclays Center.
I agree. I didn't know anything about Marcus Page until I started watching March Madness, and he blew up the entire country. He was very surprising.
And UCLA obviously has some good returning players. You know, Tony Parker. Bryce Alford, right? Tony Parker had that amazing game against UAB. 29 points. That's ridiculous. Career highs. Any thoughts on how they're going to do this year?
Tony Parker is great, but Bryce Alford, the coach's son, he led that team in March Madness. He's a great piece for that team, and I think he will lead the UCLA Bruins this year.
For sure.
I think the UCLA, they're great. They have Bryce Alford, Tony Parker. I don't think they're ever going to drop out of the top 20, but considering they're playing Gonzaga, UNC, and Kentucky all in the same year, I think their numbers are going to drop because of that. Not that they're a bad team, but just because they have tough competition.
And not to mention Gonzaga, who Kyle Wiltshire has decided to stay this year, as well as Domantas Sabonis, who's also amazing. I'm very excited to see UCLA play this year, especially trying to overcome the loss of Kevon Looney. We'll see how it all works out. I'll see you next time on UCLA Sports Talk. I'm Rafe Israel, this is Bryce Wetzel, and I'm here with Tanner Clark as well. See you next time.
3, 2.
Hi, I'm Jake Liker alongside Noah Taborda and Daniel Levy here. We record at UCLA, just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Pauley Pavilion, home of a UCLA basketball team that looks like it'll have itself a ball again.
Yeah, that's right.
Once again, another Ball brother committing to play at UCLA. You got Lonzo, you've got LiAngelo, and now you've got LaMelo. A great group of guys, and they will be starting together on the same high school, so it's going to be a dynamic trio there for UCLA.
Yeah, all three expected to start next year at Chino Hills High. The youngest, LaMelo, who just gave a verbal commit this Friday, is yet to step foot on a high school court, although he did average 20 points a game in a Vegas tournament last week for under 17 ball. UCLA is going to need all the good players they can get, though. They won't be here this year, but this roster is going to have to make do with some tough opponents. Isn't that right, Dan?
Yeah, looking to the more immediate future, Jake, we've got quite a few tough opponents on the UCLA schedule to be looking out for. First, they're going to be playing Kentucky here at Pauley Pavilion. Then at the Barclays Center, they're going to be taking on University of North Carolina. Those are the two marquee matchups that I'm looking to really make a big impact this season.
Yeah, UCLA also takes on Gonzaga in Spokane for the first time in this storied program's history. Also, even before those three matchups, they get to go to Hawaii. They're going back to the Maui Gym, Maui Invitational, where they'll take on the likes of UNLV, Indiana, and Kansas. Last year, they got lost in paradise at the Bahamas, where they finished 7th out of 8 teams, beating UAB in the 8th place game. Noah, it's going to be a tough start. What do you think this team needs to do in Maui?
Well, look, the Maui Invitational is always a great gauge of your talent level going into the year. It's an early season tournament, and once again, a solid field. Kansas and Indiana, both teams that have historic programs. I think it's a great opportunity there for them to gauge where they're at, what they have to work on. I don't know if they're ready to win it quite yet, but I do think they'll have a little bit of a better year than last year. I think they know what their strengths are a little bit better. I think they know their weaknesses just a tiny bit better, and I think they'll probably finish in the 3rd or 4th range.
Yeah, departing is Kevon Looney as well as senior Norman Powell. But coming in and taking their place is Prince Ali, a transfer from UConn, as well as Aaron Holiday, the younger brother out of Campbell Hall High School of Drew Holiday, who now plays in the NBA. Do you think it's going to be enough? These two guys coming in to take over, Kevon Looney, a first-round pick, as well as Norman Powell, the leader of this team.
Yeah, you know, Looney, a first-round pick, going 30th overall to the Warriors. That's a big. He's leaving a big mark on this school, and I don't know if it's going to be enough for these freshmen to take over. But I think as they can grow as a team throughout the season, I think UCLA is going to win some big games this year.
No, what about you?
I think it's going to be tough. You know, you lose guys like Norman Powell, who I think a phenomenal player for this UCLA basketball program. Kevon Looney, athletic, great rebounder, just a terrific guy overall. I think it's going to be tough for them. I don't know if this is the year for them to step in and really become the stars that they can be, but in a couple of years, I think these guys could be some of the better players for this program.
Well, if you're worried about this year, UCLA looks to make the Sweet 16 for the 3rd year in a row, but they don't have to worry about that yet. Their first game of the season is against Monmouth on November 12th right here at Pauley Pavilion. That's all we have for now on UCLA basketball. From Noah Taborda and Dan Levy, I'm Jake Light.